Because think about this, bro. Homie Hangout. I wonder how he got demonetized. It's chess, not checkers. And what happened? He got all sad. Adios, way. One of my enemies gone.
Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with some snack habits. Bye. Let's get to this intro. Welcome back to the channel. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate your support. I'm very humbled by it. As you can tell by the title of this video, how dare you, right? How dare you disrespect someone that can't defend themselves, someone that is no longer here with us, someone who is as well respected and admonished as Joshua from the homie Hangout, right? Well, indeed, disrespect has been thrown. A video was sent. And as you've seen by that intro, right? That's what that man had to say about Joshua homie Hangout, implicating the fact that he was behind getting him demonetized and also basically mocking him or making fun of the fact that he is no longer here with us. Now, there's been some discrepancies and some rumors and some stories concerning his matter of death. And I am not going to sit here and dispute or say, you know, how he passed away, whether he died one way or another. The fact is he's no longer here to voice his opinion, to do his thing, but I am. And I have a bone to pick and a lot to say about this situation. So this guy Pocho, who has reinvented himself several times over on YouTube, right? Who first came out with his own channel, didn't go anywhere, decided to go mingle and fraternize down south in Southern California on the Fools Community channel. Somewhere along the lines, there was a falling out there and he was displaced, kicked off the podcast, or chose to walk away, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of different rumors concerning that, and has now reinvented himself as the Chicano podcast, right? Where he basically sits back and defecates on the characters of Northerners and Southerners for either his own amusement or for mass appeal. Look, whatever the case may be, I'm not here to disrespect that man, shit on that man, say anything bad other than what this video right here is about. So we're going to get that right out there first and foremost. Look, I've had my own, I guess you could say, lightweight distaste of Pocho's videos, right? He did disrespect my family, disrespect myself, my mother in particular, right? He did have a lot to say out of the blue, and I took it as, you know, I wasn't going to do the back and forth with him. I wasn't going to retaliate and making a revenge video. I wasn't going to do any of that. And this happened on the Full Community where he put out a video and just let his man bun go, right? What I was going to do at this particular point in time is sit back and watch someone who couldn't get traction do what he does, right? And I felt that, you know, although we do agree on similar points on certain subjects, we don't agree enough for me to let this one right here go, right? You could talk about moms, you could talk about me, you could talk about my family, you could disrespect me and make accusations without any type of knowing or clecha, but you're definitely not going to disrespect who I considered a friend of mine, you know, that has passed. That's what's not going to happen, right? So this guy Pocho, you know, his past has been kind of hazy. And there's a lot of people that got a lot to say about Pocho, man and woman, right? There's been a lot of accusations and rumors floating around about this man for several years concerning situations that he allegedly got caught up in while living in the Bay Area. I'll say this. I don't know any of it to be true, but I do know one thing. I've talked to several men and women that worked with that man, that were around that man, and all their stories are pretty similar. And they all got them same accusations. Now, what those accusations are, you're going to have to do your homework. I'm not going to regurgitate or put anything out there I've never seen paperwork for. Okay, I could tell you for sure this man's never been incarcerated for any of those allegations. So at that point, man, I'm going to refrain from making accusations. I do know this, though. When Josh Homie Hangout was doing his channel, a very well-respected, well-loved channel on social media, right? His game was the exposing of people that were actually incarcerated or within the prison genre, or just people in life in general. And somewhere along the line, this guy named Pocho came across his radar, and Josh felt it was the necessary time to expose what he knew about that guy. Now, I talked to Josh on several occasions, and I could tell you we had a conversation where this man's name, Pocho, man, his name came up. And he did say that he worked with that man in the Bay Area. They worked for a nonprofit organization, and there were some accusations being thrown around back then. And Josh felt it was time to basically elaborate on what he knew about the situation. Now, that was that man's choice. And I understand how people could feel bitter about someone that is just speaking his mind and saying something, because in this case, I guess Pocho is just speaking his mind. And I feel real bitter towards it. I feel bitter towards it because it's different if you're talking about a man that can defend himself. It's different if you're talking about a man who didn't just get buried 6 months ago. If you're talking about a man who you can actually pick up a phone and call and ask why he did what he did. Okay, when the situation is long gone, to make accusations and imply that you are the reasoning behind his demise and his death, well, that definitely is something different. And that's something I don't take too kindly to, especially to someone who at the end there, I realized and came to an understanding that we had become friends. Regardless of what people may think and say, yes, when Joshua Homie Hangout first came on YouTube, there was a lightweight beef, and it was more so that was created in others' minds, and basically they were spitting in each other's ear. You know, they're telling him one thing, they're telling me another thing, and they created this falsified beef, and we fell for it. Shouldn't have, as laced up as we are in the game, but we did, both of us, right? And we went back and forth, and when we realized and had a conversation and realized that the same people were telling us the same bullshit about each other, we stepped away from that beef. We created a conversation, and over months and months and months of conversing over the phone, we actually seen eye to eye and we became friends. I got used to those 2-hour-long phone calls once a week from Josh. I got used to picking his mind because he was a very educated individual. And not only did he help me in several times, but I helped him. We helped each other, man. Sometimes he'd call me, hey, Gun, what do you think about this thumbnail? Hey, Gun, what do you think about this topic? And sometimes I'd call him, hey, Josh, I heard this, because I knew he did his homework, and I know he was very educated, and he was like the smartest man in the room. You know that old saying, everyone thinks they're the smartest man in the room? Well, he really was, right? Very educated in the history of the Norteño movement, as well as Southsiders and everyone else. So who perfect to go to than someone who actually did time, was in the shoe, was very educated in the genre that we're involved in, and so on and so forth, right? So now you see that intro video I played. This man, Pocho, the accused, right? I call him the accused. And again, by no means am I going to disrespect this man continuously in this video. By no means am I trying to create a beef. I mean, even though he said, fuck my mother and all kinds of other regurgitated ass bullshit out of his mouth without having the proper paperwork or the proper education to speak on things, I let that go a long time ago. It's still there. You know, like Miklo, I'm going to keep it here for later on, right? And now's the time. Now's the time, but I'm not going to really go in because of that, because I don't care. I could care less what you say about me and what you say about my family. My family's good. I'm good. We're hood, and we're just going to keep on pushing. But when you disrespect a man I consider a friend and imply that you are the reason, or the reason behind his death is something that you caused, well, I ain't feeling that. And I think a lot of people weren't able to see this video because that man doesn't get a lot of traction. See, he doesn't get a lot of views on social media, not as much as, you know, he has put out there that he gets. And so no one really knows who that man is. I mean, there are some people that watch him due to the fact that he does a lot of content regarding that guy, BFD, basically to the point where he's utilizing that man's name for clout. however you want to say it, right? And I know people will say, well, you use West and you use that and you use this. Hey, I'm Gunner. I already built my brand, my channel, and everything on my own the way I did it. And now everything I speak on is my perspective and my opinion. And I'm not saying Pocho was doing anything different. I'm just saying he's not getting the traction I'm sure he wants when it comes to his channel. That's why he has reinvented himself on several occasions. Now, I'm going to keep it real. Josh did put out a video when he was alive, an expose concerning that Vato Pocho, right? Santa Rosa Rays, Pocho, right? And it wasn't the type of video I'm sure Pocho would like to see put out there about himself. You know, anytime someone is making allegations, they're a detriment to your character. They're saying that you've done the worst of the worst things to women and people. I'm sure that kind of got him in his boo-boo, right? And I understand where he's coming from. That could build the ultimate distrust, the ultimate hate towards a person, you know, especially someone you knew in real life, someone that you worked alongside of. But that only leads to the credibility of that person when they say they know you and you admit that you know them and you've worked around them. They're speaking from knowing from firsthand accounts, right? But it is what it is. I'm not here to dispute nor deny or say that whatever Joshua put out concerning that expose video on Pocho, that it was the real deal. I don't know. I do know this, though. And this is a fact. Mostly all and everything that Joshua put out, he did his homework on. And he was a perfectionist. He would redo a video, and it would take him 2 hours to do a 10-minute video. That man was not, and it would take him 2 hours to get to the point on that 10-hour video, right? But he was not ever going to create an aura of lies. That wasn't his thing. It was what it was, and it is what it is. That was the model that he lived by, right? I think everyone could admit that watched his channel, that supported his channel, that Joshua literally did his homework and came with the PW. He came with some real righteous facts. No one's going to deny that, right? A lot of the things he put out there into the universe boomeranged back and became true. So this guy Pocho is implying that Rascal Joshua, the homie Hangout, was demonetized, and that made him depressed enough to do something to himself. Now, there's a lot of rumors circulating on how Josh passed. We're not going to get into all that out of respect for the family and his friends and everybody involved. We're not going to get to how that man passed. Okay. I know, and that's all that matters to me, right? But obviously, Pocho seemed like he knew something that a lot of other people don't know, right? And he believes that Rascal being demonetized at the end of his YouTube career ultimately pushed him over the edge to doing something harmful to himself. Now, I'll say this. Was Rascal demonetized? Absolutely. Was he demonetized because Pocho pushed the envelope and got him demonetized? Let me explain something to you guys. Let me hold something. Let me explain something to you guys real fast. I know why Joshua Homie Hangout was demonetized, because he absolutely was. And the reason, and the day he got demonetized, he gave myself and Dubs a call because he wanted to question if YouTube was able to do that for that reason. He put an appeal in, he lost his appeal. And the fact and the reasoning behind him actually getting demonetized had nothing to do with Pocho's video, had nothing to do with Pocho at all, right? Although we're going to get down and break it down on how Pocho basically told on himself. But Joshua, and this is coming from him, what he told me was he got demonetized due to terrorist threats. He didn't understand what he said in this video. He didn't threaten anyone, he said, but this is what YouTube felt he did. That's why his channel was demonetized. That's why when he appealed it, they shot it down. Was he depressed to the point that he would do something harmful to anyone or himself? No, it wasn't a good look. He didn't like it. You know, I implored to him to, go hard on his Rascal Reacts channel. If you recall, around the time he got demonetized, he would come into my lives, into Dub's lives continuously and constantly every night when we did live. And we were pushing his Rascal Reacts channel, which was his secondary channel. Hey, man, Rascal got demonetized. Go over there to Rascal Reacts, man. He was going to start dropping videos there. And I told him, hey, be relentless, be consistent, start dropping over there everything you would put. And eventually that's going to pick up, bro. Because I'm not going to lie, man. When you're monetized in YouTube, there's a lot of people that look forward to that money, to them increments, cuz fair. There's a lot of people that look forward to that, right? Should you ever depend solely on social media for your income? That's a hard line to walk. There are people that got big enough channels where they are in a position that they can do that. And there are some smaller channels like myself that it's just, we're at a point where it's up and down. So it's hard to do that. You can't have all your eggs in one basket. And that's why a lot of us content creators have other things going on like jobs, side hustles, businesses, investments. There's a lot of different things. And that's very technical. Now, one thing that I got from Pocho saying what he said, one thing I got from that video of him basically saying that he's playing chess, not checkers. And that's the reason why Josh is no longer here. Well, if you're playing chess, not checkers, that means you felt some type of way about the video Josh did about you. And that means you reported him to the YouTube content creating police, right? You reported him and got him demonetized. That's what you're implying. Now, I do know if you get demonetized because another channel reports you, they do have to provide you their email. It's like a discovery. They have to provide you the paperwork. These are facts. I've been demonetized a few times, and I can tell you right now, a couple of the times were for reused content. Basically, I used a whole video, right, and didn't do enough with it. And that wasn't a video used off YouTube. We have the Fair Use Act, for those that are wondering, right? And you can react to anyone's content if you choose to, regardless if they like it or not. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is, right? But Rascal put out a video, and it wasn't, maybe it felt, Pocho felt it was detrimental to his safety and security based upon the allegations that were thrown out there. But it wasn't the first time anyone has ever said anything concerning him when it came to those type of activities, right? And I'm not going to sit here and say, like I said, they're true or they're not. It just is what it is. He's accused, and, shouldn't have been trying to play pinball with Jodie Foster. That's all I could say. But I can tell you this right now, right? If that man did report and play chess, not checkers, and got that man, Joshua's channel demonetized, then he would have to have reported him. And believe me, Josh would have said, hey, Gunner, Pocho reported me, and this is what it is. And I probably would have did a video a long time ago. But that wasn't the case. Pocho is lying. He's basically taking credit for, in his words, making a man depressed to the point where he would take his own life. Okay? That's basically what he's implying. And then to sit there and say, bye-bye, basically, one of my enemies down. What type of heartless individual does that? Regardless if you like that man or you didn't, you don't mock him or make fun of him not being here anymore. He has children and family that watch anything concerning him. What disrespect, man. What a fucking piece of shit. Straight up, man. And look, I'm coming from a point of you saying that I don't care about your charges in the past. None of that fucking is going to float my boat or change my life, right? If you did something wild, you did something wild. If you didn't, you did. And I'm not here to dispute it, nor am I here to claim you did, because I've never seen no paperwork on it, so I can't say it's true. But I could say a lot of people said it. But I seen what I seen. You talking about, we're going to play that again. I want you guys to hear what this fucking guy said.
Because think about this, bro. Homie Hangout. I wonder how he got demonetized. It's chess, not checkers. And what happened? He got all sad. Adios, way. One of my enemies gone.
Now you heard that for yourselves. Adios, way. One of my enemies gone. How disrespectful can that man be? Again, I'm not trying to shed light on his platform. And I know people are going to run over there and go see what this guy's all about. I don't care about anything else he does, man. I just think that an apology is owed to the family, man, concerning what you said about that man. Based on, it's built upon lies. You didn't get that man's channel demonetized. You weren't playing chess or checkers. We used to have conversations a long time ago, Pocho. Let's keep it real, bro. Let's keep it respectful and real right here. You disrespected me. I disrespected you back, right? You talked about my mother. I never talked about yours, nor would I, right? Talk about yours because I don't know her. But I do know this, man. You know in your heart you're lying about getting his channel demonetized. You might have reported him. but you weren't the ultimate reason. And to sit there and imply that he got depressed enough to take his life behind what you're saying, come on, bro, you're not that important, eh? You know what I mean? You're not that important, way, right? You're not, Holmes. So I think you owe an apology, man, to that man's family, to that man's friends, to everybody, right? That was a bad look, man. And I just want to shed light on the fact that, Josh was a good dude. Hey, everyone might not have agreed with him in life. Some of the things he did, people don't agree with me, but that doesn't mean I'm a bad person. And that definitely doesn't mean he was a bad person. I could tell you right now, that was a loving father. That father went above and beyond, bro. I used to talk to him all the time on the phone. He was always going from the Bay Area to Reno. He was always driving. Go see my kids. Sometimes he used to call me for that fucking hour and a half long drive from Reno to Sac or whatever, however long it was, right? We used to bullshit and chop it up because he was just bored on his way to go see his kids. Look, man, that man was a good father. That man was an intelligent individual. That man would go out there on the streets, and he was an advocate he was a gang prevention person where he would go out there and advocate to help kids get away from, impoverished states and basically the gang violence. That guy was a historian when it comes to the Chicano movement. And yes, so what? He was white, man. He knew more brown shit than I'm sure you do, Pocho. And I know Pocho's educated, went to college and learned Chicano studies and Mexican American history and all that. But that don't mean shit when you're a raza and you act like that and say things like that, bro. That ain't cool. Anyways, with that being said, I just wanted to put this out there, man. For those of you that watch this guy or are going to watch this guy, that was a bad look. That was a cold move, man. And I don't think Rascal deserved that. And yeah, people are gonna say, "Why you care, Gun? You're just utilizing the name for money and for views." No, man, I'm holding it down for Rascal. Someone's got to. I'm sure a lot of people seen this and just shined it on. You know what happens when you pass away, man? At first, everyone's making videos. Oh, what happened? What happened? And then everyone forgets about you. I don't forget, man. There's times when I look at my phone, I still got Rascal's number saved. I still got his picture right there by his number. And sometimes I'm waiting for it to ring, but it never will. But it definitely wasn't because of Pocho. I'll let you know that. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I honestly and truly believe. That's the betterment of all people. This video right here is sponsored by Barrio Liquors out there in Turlock, California. If you're in the Valley, in the 209, in the Turlock area, pull up to the Barrio and get you some icy and slushy and cold to drink. Also, by Sticks and Stones Yard Service in Tucson, Arizona. If you're in the Tucson, Arizona area, Google Sticks and Stones Yard Service and let's support our small local raza businesses, man. Only we can do it together. Not like this dude Pocho. Division ain't it, homie. Division ain't it.